This conference will now be recorded.
I think you got my screen. So this is a Sublime text editor, so it will be available on Sublime text, which is like if you can go to the browser. At the initial stage for the JavaScript and what we call for the basic HTML, CSS styling and all, we will preferring this particular thing, so which is light in weight, and we will also use this particular simple useful this thing like this is a simple IDE we can make it as. So we can use this particular thing, so which is an open source, and but yes, it will be prompting for you to purchase the license, but you can use it freely. Okay, so there are some commands and how it will work and all. You just go over here and you can according to your version of your or your operating system, it will be giving you the download option, and you can download and you can continue whatever you want to be. And if you can see how it will be useful, and there are some videos and everything will be over here, so how to write your code and all. So now let's get started with this. I just created a folder in my system, and I'm just opening my system, opening my folder by opening it, and it will be having the sample folder. Now we just have to create some HTML pages. So while creating the HTML pages, we know that there is a naming convention. It will be like, so the root page, everything will be like for every website, it will be started with index.html. And like this is the scenario, like whenever we are having an index.aspx infer.net pages, index.asp for ASP pages, or index.jsp for Java servlet pages, or index.php for PHP pages. And initially there is another page called default.aspx kind of thing. So we'll be having these two scenarios like default and index as the root pages. So here, whatever we'll be using to configure our project, the base page, the home page, what you're thinking about, that should be in the name of this particular index.html. So I will save my file in sample with index.html. Okay, so it is recognizing your HTML, and if you want to do something over here, which is like HTML, if you just type something HTML, it will be giving you the structure of your thing. So which is like a doc type and a HTML with head and the body. And if you can see, this is the structure of the any HTML, and this particular doc type will give you the version of your HTML. So this is saying this document type is HTML, and where earlier versions rather than before HTML5 will be having transition types, and whatever you'll be using some data relations, or if you are using the particular HTML to get the data, will be using the DHTML kind of thing, and when we are using the XHTML is and the transition type. So based upon your type of your application, it should be like that. So it should have to open in that particular transition types. But here from the HTML5, there is no transition types. There is nothing to do with that particular transition types and DTDs. Or here we'll be using only one over here is like a doc type, which is like a document type is HTML. That's it. So, and we'll be having this particular HTML is having this particular structure, like HTML is the base one, and we'll be having the head and the body. And if you can see it, if the tags are with the perfect closures, like in the perfect whatever you call in a perfect structure, so which is like giving you the it is showing you some underline over here. If you are able to see this or not, I just I want to make a highlight of it. So if you can see, it is showing you the starting and heading tags for this or whatever it will be. So if you can move something or there, so if you click on the body, it is not showing them because it is in the wrong syntax, so it is in the wrong structure how it will be. And if you click on this, then it will be like this. Okay, so it is easy to understand like you are in the right structure or not, or if you're missing something. See, it is missing something and it is showing you some color indication so that you are typing something wrong over here, which is like that. And generally, the HTML structure will be having the head and body. The head, this is called the non-visual elements, and the body are called the visual elements. So what are these particular elements and all we'll see in later, so which is like in this particular session. So here the understanding here is the head section is will not be display in your browser. For example, if I give some title for this sample page, and if I open in the browser, so we are accessing this particular file in a file protocol, which is like a this is an just like a file this thing, so that you can only view the page and without how it is working and all. So generally, there are websites will be displaying and whatever the HTTP protocol and HTTPS protocol. And once we deploy these particular applications on any other server, means we can see that particular HTTP how it is working and all. But at this point of time, if the page is running with the script or not, we will check in the file itself. So which is like we are opening this particular page in a file reference, which is like if you can see in the file reference, it is coming, it is not a HTTP. Okay, and coming to this particular thing, so we'll be having the sample web page, the title over here, which is like a browser properties, not in the body of this thing. So which is like we called it as a non-visual elements which are not visible in this particular body. So which is like we are treating those as a non-visual elements in HTML. So if you write something, so which is like our intention is to like build some information in this particular HTML. So I just want to sample. So I have saved it and I just refresh the sample content over here. And if I can open this particular thing, so where there is a thing called inspect, so where we can have the debugger tools or developer tools, we will call it as. So which is like it is very important for an UI developer where you can see your what is happening with your page, and you can also make use of this to have your the syntax correction, or you can have the try whatever will like we just try over here, and you can see the whatever the impact of whatever you are changing the styles or some logic you can also see over here. So there are some lot of over here like we are having some tabs over here, which is like elements, console, sources, network performance, memory, application, security, audits, and I have this Augury is a different tool which is for the we'll be using for the Angular. Okay, so in the leftmost corner we'll be having an selector tool, which is like a if you can select this particular content, so which is like if you can click and if you can mouse over on any of the content, it will give you where is the content and how it will be forming and all. If you can see, it is in the body and the color is whatever it will like black, and font is 16 pixels times and margin 8 pixels, something like that, which is like coming over here, which you can see there is a blue line and what is this orange line and all. If you can see the body, the HTML is selecting over here. And if you can see in the rightmost for here, if you can see, this is the whatever the styling pattern for each and every element in the HTML. And if you can see here, it is selecting whatever we are just the padding, the border, and the margin. So defaultly the content doesn't have anything, only except this particular whatever the width and all. So which is like it is inheriting from this particular body. So we click on the body, and we can see what is the body style and over here. So it's just like I clicked over here on the body. If you see, the body will be having the margin and the content in between. So if I select accordingly, it is just giving you the indication of what is your body and how it will be uh, residing inside this particular box. So this is called as a box model, where it will be the content will be having the padding, border, and margin. So it is just accordingly. We'll see in the whatever the default styles how it will be creating and all. So if you can see, the body will be having the display block and whatever the margin 8 pixel and all. So here is a simple question: why the HTML will be having only one body? What if I have two bodies? But it is making this particular, it is parsing, we can say it as a parsing. So parsing the body into a single body itself. Okay, how many body tags we have? It is just passing into a single body only, just like that. And likewise, can we do it with the see, the head is also matching up with this particular thing. So except any other elements, the head, body, and the HTML, or we'll also try with the including double HTML over here, which is like see how the HTML it will be like. It is just displaying the body, and after that the body, the sample title kind of thing, and which is like the sample. So how it is parsing over here, which you can see over here, which is like it is just displaying the content over here only, which is in the body, but it is not considering this particular title where it is not which is not here. So if you do the HTML, so we'll be getting the errors inside this particular console, but the HTML will not having this particular syntax errors and all, but it supports whatever you do. So which is like if you are using some other terminologies over here, which is like supporting like kind of thing. The process of executing over the particular HTML over in the browser is called the parsing over here, like which it is you are parsing this particular HTML and whatever it will be like. So likewise, like Java, it will be like compiling, and other will be having the interpreting all those things. But here, coming to the HTML and whatever the scripting we will be using over here, the browser, it is getting parsing with this particular thing, which is like it is making available to this particular browser to display the particular content, where it is most understanding language for the browser is the HTML and the JavaScript and the CSS part, because those are defined inside your thing, which is like if you can start a sample HTML page, it is coming with your inbuilt styles and also which is like here. And if you can go to this particular thing, so where as we have discussed, it is a document. So which is like if you select the document, if you type something document over here, and it is just getting reflecting over here, which is like selecting everything over here. So if I use any other document methods, so write is a method where we'll be using the document object method, which is like I just want to write some hello. This is a sample content from concept. Okay. So if I write this particular thing, so just if I enter this particular thing, and it is just printing over here. But here, the violation about using the document.write, because you cannot use this particular developers. There are some updates over here, and if you can see what are the updates for the developers, so how it will be and all. There are some fundamentals it will be for to have whatever we are using. So there are some fundamentals, tools, updates, and everything will be having. So how this particular web scenario, coming to the web scenario, what are the fundamentals? It will be like fast, integrated, reliable, engaging. So I'll be having a reliable web experiences like these, and what's new, and what are the new things over here. You can upgrade your things like whatever we are doing, the latest technology, so you'll have everything over here. And not only at this point of time, we will be having all the references according to all the technologies across, everything will be over here. So if you can see, there are some few dev tools, Lighthouse, Puppeteer, Workbox, and these are some uh, discover the tools for the web developers. And we'll be having the Polymer. Polymer is the project which is helping you amazing user experiences and building the applications, which is Angular and page speed module. So this is all a developer practices, like all the people should have to understand. You are pretending to an UI developers, you need to have to go through all those particular things. So which is like you need to have to uh, get the whatever the tools are here. And if you can see the fundamentals, there are some other things like here. What is the architectural patterns? So what is the application cell and how it should be, and what is the application patterns and all. So if you can see, there are some code references also available over here, which is like how it will be and all. And if you can see, there are some design and user experiences. So designing the great user experiences, basics of the user experiences, everything will be available. So just like you can see, discover, define, develop, and deliver. So there are a lot of things available over here when you are using some whatever the how it will be, the how we can measure the security and base technologies. Everything will be available over here. Okay, and we have the code labs as well, which is like you can have the first progressive web app. So the PDA, how it should be, like how you have to build a progressive web app. So you can have the setup for this, and you can have the establish the baseline, web map, and there are some guidelines that will be available. Okay, so just like you can have this particular progressive app implementation in your whatever the code labs accordingly. So there are a lot many things which we'll be having over there. So this is all about the latest, how you follow, and what are the updates available and all. You can see the updates, how what are the deprecations, removals, and new 78 version of the Chrome, and see lot many other things about the updates of the web and all. So if you can see that it is at developersgoogle.com, so it is directly suggesting you this kind of thing. So where we came from this particular thing is like we are making the violation, we are getting the violation, which you cannot use the document.write because document.write is a method to write something on the page, which is removing your elements reference. If you can see here, earlier we will be having the sample content. So if I use this particular document.write over here, it is removing your elements and it is just printing it. So if you can see here, the document body will be having like this. So earlier it will be like this, the sample content and all. If I type something over here, and if you can see, the body will be having the whatever the content I have written over there. So this is how you can check this particular thing and how it will be useful and all. And in the future reference, if you are applying any responsive frameworks, you can check in the emulator. We'll be having a default emulator tool which is available over here, which is if you can check with the devices, multiple devices with multiple resolutions accordingly, and if you can see the both the portrait and the landscape modes, so how the content it should display over there, and you can verify it and you can push that to the building. So most of the cases, the emulator will help you to define the things in a better way, how it fits into your uh, browser window or inside your mobile window, whatever it will be. And it should be very easy to implement as well. So if you can go through this particular developer tools, and which is very much important for any like any website implementation. Okay, so before going to this, so if you are good and proficient, so even if you implemented that thing, so if you can check over here at the browser and we can modify over here, and if you can see there is in the element section we can also include some whatever the elements over here, and we will see what are the things that will be happening over here, which is like I'm making some paragraph. So if you're writing something over here, which is like with the elements, whatever the elements will be included in the paragraph element, and which I if I do the same thing over here, which is like it is only for the texting over here, which is like it will not do any give any impact over here, and the same thing which I include over here, and if I refresh the browser, which is like it is getting the sample paragraph tag, and if you can see the paragraph element, and which is a p element which is having some styles, if you can see there is a display block and some margin whatever we'll be getting over here, and if you can see the para will be having the 16 margin in the top and 16 margin in the bottom and the content in between. So earlier we have seen the normal content, if you are using some content over there which are without any p elements over there, it is just making some page border like this. So the page will be having a margin of 8 pixels and all. If you can see the the page will be having the 8 pixel all around, and the paragraph will be having a 16 only over here, which is like this. Okay, so which you can see how it is. So we have this particular thing, and we have another element which is like a span element, which is like a simple span. And if you can see, there is a simple span. It is like if you can see there is no styles with this particular thing, which is like displaying whatever it will be. So if I want to have this particular thing, so which is like paragraph, which is a block of content, block of code, block of information you can write over here. And the span is nothing but it is not having any of this particular thing. And if I can add some properties to it, like which is like a display block or something like that. Okay. It is just giving you the display block over here. So which is like it is just getting the properties, like it is applying the styles inside your implementation, how you can do over here. So the simple thing is like we can use this particular span tag wherever it is needed, because we don't have any specific like it is not having any simple block kind of thing. So which you can see the P tag with the span, it is like this. So what if I just use display? If I use the block over here, it is just coming to the new line. So here, normally we'll be having in HTML, we'll be having two types of elements, like block elements, which is like a block level elements, and inline elements. So inline elements display wherever we write, like for example, the span tag or image tag or an anchor link, whatever we'll be writing, we'll be seeing lot many elements like that. But here, whatever the uh, element which is starting, so whenever we're writing something and it is just starting from the new line, which is like a display block over here, those called block elements or block level elements. Okay, so these are the two types of elements what we'll be having over here. So just like if you, we can make the inline elements to the block and block level elements to the inline like this. So if you can see, the span has become a block element, like so, which is like we have applied the block, it is just displaying the new line. So by applying this particular style property, we can use this particular we can convert this particular inline element to the right. So this is, you can check over here by applying the styles or writing some content over here, which whatever we'll be using over here in the developer tools. So if you can refresh it, it will not be getting saved anything over here because it is just a simple tested tool. So where you can debug your code and you can also see a lot many things like this. And if you can see, there are some sources where we are using this particular for example, this is in this folder and this is what the output with is just coming, and we can also put some breakpoints over here and we can apply some breakpoints and we can see how it will be going on and all. So while executing, you can also check with the breakpoints, and we can use some breakpoints. See, it is just adding my breakpoint when the body is loading over here, and another breakpoint I'll be adding for this point of time. We can check the implementation of the scenario whenever it is. Um, so we have the network, so whatever the pages will be loading over here, we'll be seeing in this. And we have the performance, memory, application, security, audits. Those are all the UI testing references, and you can also measure your performance of your website, how it is loading and all from this particular performance. And you can also record the video of whatever the how the page it is like loading and all. So there are some recordings options, screenshots, and we can also have some memory option over here, and we can have the manifest of your application where you will be having local storage, session storage, and webql and indexdb. So this is all about your browser cache, how you'll be maintaining and all. And this is more into like security. And have you seen this lighthouse? So this is for the audit purpose in the web tools. If you can see, there are some tools which is like the lighthouse is open source automated tool for improving the quality of your web apps. So which is this in your audits. So everything will be like interlinked. You need to have to know about the structure and how it is, how it will be useful and all. Okay. So it is just giving the throttling and how it will be, how you can use this particular device. So everything will be over here. So don't get confused at this point of time because you are new to the HTML. So I just want to give you this particular information. Like you can do anything with your browser. You can test it and you can see what are the things happening in your background with ease, and which helps you a lot for this particular understanding. Okay, so today like you just try with a few more elements. So whatever the elements will be having, like for example we have the block level elements and this thing. So generally how you write your document, which is like I'll be needing an heading, so which is like headings will be from h1 to h6, and HTML will be having h1 to h6 type of headings, and where the heading it will be like heading 1, and we'll be having the sample component, which is like a sample paragraph. This is a sample text from basic HTML, and it includes some basic info information about the website, and this is a sample. So which is like we have written some text like this, and which is a heading and a paragraph like this. And if you can see, there is a heading and there is a block, which is like h1 is again a block level element, and whatever the headings we'll be having. And as we have discussed, like we have h2 heading 2, and we can check over here like whatever the element. So if you can define this particular h2 element and h4 and whatever the headings it will be, and we have the h5 and we have the h6. So these are all the headings we will be having available over here according to the usage in your context. You can use the headings over here. So my basic intention is like see whatever the h1 and paragraph, which is like here. So what if I just want more things like this? So which is like these two comes in this particular thing. So which is like a block of code, which is like we can implement the block of code over here, which is like just so we have the div, which is like a block level element, which is having the block reference, which is another block we are using over here, which is, so if you can see, this div is a divider block, which is having the a block of code which we can have this particular implementation over here, which is like this, and it will be like aligned with the proper thing, which is like if you can see div, it is having only the displays block. It doesn't have any measurements, or here it is not having any computations for this. But the h1 will be having some computation like the margins, and also the margin will be having, and the paragraph will be having another this thing, so that it is giving you the spacing over here, which is like that. And you can also check whatever this particular paragraph and how it will works, and also if we can use some element styling over here, which we call it as an element. So whatever the p is an element and h1 is an element, so all the elements over here. So you can apply the element dot style over here, which is sitting inside your particular style. Like for example, I just want to use some font family. So whatever is my font family, I can use any sans serif over here, which is my text is making some changes over there, which is like this. And if you can see element dot style, it is including in your element whatever the p element it is, and it is the style over here. And we call it as like whenever we are applying some information or adding some additional information to that particular element, we call it as an attribute, or we call it as a property of the particular element. So in this particular whatever the information we have included to the element, so where the p is an element over here and style is the attribute over here, which is like we can have this particular thing. And we have in the attributes, we'll be having more types like classes, identifiers, which is like IDs, classes, and we have another HTML elements called comments. So we can use this particular elements with whatever the class or ID or any other property like style kind of thing. So these are all the attributes which we'll be having for any of the element, where this is called as a element and this These are all called attributes, and attributes are like classes and identifiers. So just like this. Okay. And we have the comments as well. So if you want to have this particular heading to be put in comments, so just like comments, and also like generally in these particular days, we will be using the comments for defining so you can define this particular first code block like this, and which you can have this. Okay, so which is like for your indications of how the content it will be like. If you can see in the passing also, it is just giving you the comments over here where your implementation starts and where your implementation ends over here. So comments are definitely like it is not passing in the front end. The comments will not be shown into this particular. So it is just passing. So like it will executing in this particular. It is executing in the browser, but it is not displaying in this particular window. That is what exactly what we need to understand over here is this. So just like the first code block, whatever the comments over here, which is like the parsing in this particular output, but it is not printing over here. So we have something like this, which is like the heading and whatever the texting over here. And what else we'll be having? So we'll be having some lot many elements like we can have the sample paragraph within a so which is like a span tag. We can also include some span and you can have some like whenever you want some for example, if you want to have some background color of yellow. So it's just like it is just highlighting your text, whatever it will be. So it's just like so if you want to apply something for this particular sample paragraph, you can have this particular span element. So it's just like an inline element. You can make use of this particular inline element to make it useful for adding some behavior for this particular thing, which is like the background is change it to some yellow over here. Okay, so like this, like we have a lot many elements. We have like, for example, if we can add paragraph we have done and H1 we are done. And what else we have? Any idea about any other elements? Come on, anyone?
Sorry, Krishna, what was the question?
What are the other elements in the HTML? What we will be using? So
Yeah, we do image anchor tags.
okay, image, img, and you'll be having some attributes over here, which is like a source, and you can have the source over here with some, and also add some with height. Yeah. And what else?
And you can add alternate attribute as well for the image when the image is not displaying.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Alt and what else? Okay, so there are some properties for this particular image where you can see here it is like a document, so you can have to include whatever it is needed for that particular document to be more uh, content with more attraction. So which is like you're using some colors and all with the CSS that we can see in the next session. But first you need to frame your content in the page. So which is like I just define some content like this where you can have this particular thing. So which is like if you can see the source is unknown over here, which is like if you can give any other source like this, it will be like useful. So for example, I'm using some image. Yes, this is the image. I just so if you like to display this, just give me a minute, I'll be back. If you can see here, the image, whatever we are getting it over here, which is like displaying, and the full, whatever it will be like, you can have the height and width over here to display in a full, whatever it is needed. So just like you can mention some attributes over here, which is like attributes are taking the information and it is like changing your like whatever the behavior of your implementation, like it's just like you can also define the width over here and height and all. So if you can quickly see over here, which is like the width, it will be like, can I have 300? So all this particular, the measurements in this particular in the web will be using the pixels, pts, and you can also have the inches or ems as well. So it is uh, this is things are like those. So it's just like this, and so it's just like this is the content of how it will be like we're fixing into this, and we have using this image attribute style. If you can see here, img attribute style. So just like this image will be having the attributes and the style will be including in this particular thing. So you can also use this particular thing whenever we are using the uh, image, whatever it will be. So you can define this particular styles on the basis of this. At this point of time, we are using the inline attributes to have this particular width, height, and all. So you can have defined this particular measurements of this particular size to be displayed or any other background color, any other border for this. Everything will be get configured in your styles. So likewise, we have more inline elements where you can see the image is an inline element. If you can see here, like if you go to this particular this cut over here, and I just use see, it is just displaying over here, which is like it is sitting over here and it is just making, because it is an inline element where it is included inside this without any new line it is forming, but according to the space and all, it is just making this particular thing. So which is we call it as an inline element. So that is what whenever you are using this particular elements, you need to have to know about the what type of element it is, like inline element or a block level element and how it will be and on. So you can also have some links from page to page where you can have the sample link, and it will be from, you can have any other page references, or you can also use links over here, which is, you can define google.com, and you can also use the target equals to whatever the new kind of thing, whatever the blank. So it's just like it is another this thing. So where it is just a link, it is just clicking over here, and it is just, and it is also an inline element, so it is just residing just side to side of this particular thing. So if you want to frame this particular content, we need to have to use a block level elements, or you can use properties like this, and you can group this particular whatever the content it is related to. For example, if you are using this particular the heading and whatever the text over here, which is like this, and you can have this particular whatever we are displaying over here, and you can have this particular styling and into a simple block, and you can make this particular thing. So to see that particular how the HTML it is making and all, we can have this particular div. For example, if you are using some div with whatever the width is 50%. So you're just making your width to 50%. And if you are making this display inline top, if you can see all your elements, so which is like this div entirely becomes an inline block, where your content, other content will be all in a single inline, which is like inline and one after another, which is like this. So you can see over here whatever you want to do with this particular content, and you can just check over here, and you can apply these particular styles into your implementation. So for that, we will be using the styles and all, we will see in the next session. But at this point of time, you just try with all the tags which are available in our HTML. Likewise, we have the images and links, which is like a link, and we have more things like audio and video. So these are only for your texture or some uh, like these are the elements like images and audio, video, and the texture. And in the texture, we'll be having the headers, like to represent the headers, we'll be having not many tags like those, like which is like H1 to H6, and inside your whatever the text formatting will be having some other things like making the bold text, and which is like italic, and we'll be having those things like big, small, bold, and whatever it will be. So as you can see, the sample becomes a bold over here. Likewise, we have lot many things like that. So there are, those are called as a text formatting elements. So today, what you, as a simple assignment, you just go with the text formatting elements, and also like study about the what are the elements we have in this particular thing. So we have lot many elements available in the HTML and HTML5. So we have lot many things. You just go through those particular elements and let me know if you are stuck with any other elements. We'll be having references. So what we can do is like we are having this text formatting, and any media will be working, or we'll be having the forms, which is like we need to have to use some inputs over here, which is like input equals to text type and whatever it will be. Look, these are the some input types, and where it is giving you this particular form, which is like user has to interact something from the browser, which is like there is a form, it will be like this. So which is like typing something, and it will be like this. And there are a lot many types over here, like which you can see over here. So first of all, we have this input type equals a text where you can type something and you can get that particular value. And we have other types called number. So if you can see, there is a numbers it is allowing with up and down button. So just like according to your browser and your version, it can be like this. And this particular one you're typing is your typing number. It is not allowing you to type something except the E, and E it is allowing for this particular thing. So just like see, you can enter this, and it is just it's just entering that particular number. When we are using this particular thing in a form, it is submitting whenever you have entered, and when you click this particular enter, it is submitting it. And if you can see, if I press the enter, whatever the name I have given that particular thing, so whenever you have used this uh, name over here, the value it is binding to this particular name and it is sending to the particular form, and it is giving you like it is just a communication. So whenever you click on this particular form or when you are submitting the form, it is just getting the values from whatever the inputs and it is just passing to the so another page or another. So when you are getting reflecting to another page, it is just passing to the another page. So we'll see once we are good with this particular JavaScript and how to send this particular data and all. But at this point of time, like we are not needing it because we are not using any database operations over here, which is like at the basic level. So we are just doing whatever this particular types and all. So what else we have in the types? Input type will be like we'll be having the email and password. We'll be having the password also where it will be like uh, whatever you enter, it will be in the docs and all. And emails um, we have date, so you'll be getting your calendar and you can also enter something like this. And we have time. It is just something time and PM. So just like another input, and we have checkbox, which is used for checkbox and choosing the values over here. And we have a radio, and select is another control where we'll be having the options and all that we will see. So that is comes under the select with the options, with option groups and all. So just like that, select is another one. And in this particular thing, so whatever the input types will be having, so whatever you want to use the particular things like input and inputting the number, inputting the mail, and input type equals radio. And we have another thing called here the color. You can also pick some colors from here, which is like it is showing you the color palette, so just like giving you the color code of this, and if you can use this particular color code and you can choose this particular thing. So using these particular features and all, we can have the modifications of your content and we can get this particular thing. So we are using some input boxes and all over here and how to get these values and how it is useful for our implementation, how to use those controls and where it is useful in our implementation, we will see in the JavaScript level so that we can understand better how it will be useful for that. But today, what you have to do is you have to do the all the HTML elements with whatever the HTML tags will be having, and try with all those whatever we'll be having, the elements and form elements, and what else we have, the text
Uh,
formatting elements, everything. Yeah,
yeah, Krishna. So the tables and lists.
yeah, we have that too. So the tables and lists too. We have to display this particular one. We have the tables. Um, the table we have the head, and the same scenario like how you'll be using the table, which is like having the table head and body and foot. We'll be having, and you can configure whatever the foot. So this idea will give you everything. So how it will be like you can use it. So the syntaxes and scenarios, what it will be like you, or you can use it from here, and it is just providing you something, and it is just it's a user friendly. You can use. So each table will be having the rows and columns, and generally we will be having the rows but no columns. Here we will be having the TDS, which is called the table data, and we can define the table data over here, whatever the content it will be like. So it's like this. So each and every table will be having the, you can configure the t head like whatever you will be using the uh, t. You can also use tr or here, which is like. The tables and all, we need to have to see this particular table, so we need to have to use some whatever that particular uh, the table borders, and also we need to add some property which is like table border equals to 1, then only you can able to see over here, and you can apply some simple styles, and all we'll be using this particular tables. And we are we'll be having the list with order list and unordered list, which is like ul and li, which is like a list one, and li with list two, and you can find it moving, which is like an unordered list, which is with the ul, and which is burdens will be having like and well, UL and OL are the two that go here, just like it is just giving you the list in a order list. And we have the progress bars as well. So we'll be having a progress element where you can have the check the whatever the user interaction on how the profile completion kind of stuff. So all the stuff which is available here in the HTML elements, and we can also see some progress element over here, which is like this. So the value will be like 35 and the max will be 50. If you define this, it is just giving you the particular progress, how it will be. So out of 50, it is progress up to 35, which is like that. So this is a progress element, and you can also increase the styling for that, so that it will show you something like this, which is like the display and margin. And these are some elements, and you just try with the HTML elements. So any elements, if you are stuck with any other implementation, we will see in the next session. And the first thing we will do, like if you are having any queries with the HTML, we'll be solving it. And don't worry about this particular non-visual elements. So I'm talking about the only visual elements over here, and non-visual elements, whatever this particular head section will be like, what we need to use in that particular thing, and how the other tags will be helpful. We will see session by session. So it will be like where which tag which helps you on those particular matters, and it will be like we'll see accordingly. Okay. So at this point of time, I just want you to like have some idea like this, which is like you can also use some atom, or you can also use some visual code, or you can also use this particular structure like this. And if you are good enough to do this particular in a server, so you can also configure your servers based upon your Windows operating system. There will be IIS will be there. You need to have to configure that particular IIS, and you can start the server, or you can simply download the XAMPP server, so that you can see the code will be like you can run in a server, so which is like a local server that you're having, so which comes with the local host 804 kind of thing. Okay. So if you don't have that particular idea, don't worry about this. At this point of time, we are only doing on this particular file systems only when it is required. So which is like we need to have to use some other templates into and the templates, or you are using some third-party controls to be included in our implementation, or else a page is loading another page. We need to have to use that particular server. But at this point of time, I don't want to confuse you, as this is a session one. You just try with the simple creation of your HTML and how to include the pages and what are the properties, and practice this particular what is this element, and how the attributes it will be. Okay. Any questions for me? Like any doubts in this particular thing? Because this is very basic. I think everybody will know about all those things. Any questions for me?
Yeah. So Krishna, I was wondering, so do you have any website or something, to go through or something? Any suggestions?
Web servers at this point of time.
No, no, not the server. So you said to go through HTML elements, right? So any website only.
Website.
I think
Uh,
w3schools.com is better to
Yeah.
let.
So
that's a basic one, and it can
yeah.
have a lot many other things. But if we can check all those elements, whatever we are available, so I think officially we don't have any information for this all the tags which is available globally. So if you can check with the HTML elements, or we can simply type the HTML over here. This is the first thing, it is coming with the W3 skills only, which is like, but if you can see there is a html.com, but I don't suggest it is having the official site for this. Okay, but if you can see from like these are all the basic things, like you can also have whatever the standards, it will be like spec w, which is like a standard document. So it is like a spec dot what wg, which is like a web group of this, and you can see there is a simple structure it is having. So if you can go through this particular thing, it is better, I think so, rather than if you want to learn that and all. So
Okay.
can I text you this?
No, that's fine. I just wanted to, do you have any something on mind? That's all I just wanted to know. I can Google, yeah. That's fine.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Because for other things like we'll be having, but here we
Yeah,
need to have to, yeah,
for JavaScript, they do have their own website.
yeah. But
Yeah,
that is maintaining by the plural side kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks, Krishna.
But this is, I think this is semantics, which is like maintaining from the WHG, which is like a group of the HTML updates and all, everything will be all here. Which is like, if you can see, this is a basic thing which is without any styling off here, which is like you can have the repository and not many other things over here. Okay,
Yep.
so we
Mm-hmm.
just go through this. Okay, so I
Yeah.
think we can understand the better whatever the syntaxes as well. So if you can see here, I can see what is the HTML, the background, and also some issues about the course issues also. I've seen some course issues over here. Yeah, which is like a course settings, attributes, and all. Yeah, which is like very important. So what is this particular course issue? How, when we will be getting all those things. So this is a
Okay.
good reference where it will be having all the information.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone? I just preferring this particular editor, which is like IDE, which is a Sublime text. If you go through that particular Sublime text, it will be easy for your syntax rather than using your Notepad and all. So that will not give you any flaws over there, which is like you can whatever you type, because HTML will not notify, the browser will not notifies any errors in your HTML syntax. But if you want to make that particular sure in your HTML, you need to have to use this kind of IDEs. Okay. Okay, then if you don't have any other questions, we will wind up the session here, and we'll see you in the next session with more things.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Krishna.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.